Hey, this is Brendan Allen from ComicCon.com, sitting here with Cullen Bunn and Mr. Anton Kromoff. We are on the 6th episode of Happy Hour Cocktails and Comics. What is it? Comics and Cocktails, Grumpy Cullen number 6. Or I think.
At what point did Grumpy Cullen become part of the title of this thing?
I don't know.
You
I think
did that.
it's like a new title tacked on every episode. Well, it'll be some weird anagram before it's all said and done.
Yeah, it'll be like 16 letters. It'll be like alphabet soup, and then people just know to mash the keyboard to get in.
People that know me know I'm not grumpy, so it's okay.
Fair enough. All right, so this time we're doing aquatic cryptids, and we're doing sea monsters. There are a lot of sea monster cocktails out there. There's like 15 different ones that are called the sea monster. And it seems like every one of them's got Jaeger or Midori in it to make it some odd like green color. So I tried to stay away from the Midori, and I stayed away from Jaeger because it's freaking disgusting. Yeah, so let's get in here. Sea monster movies, you want to start there? Like, what was your first memorable sea monster movie that you saw?
Well, I think you kind of have to get, for me, this was definitely the first sea monster movie I saw. And I think if you really take it back to the roots, I mean, The Creature from the Black Lagoon has to be the ultimate sea monster movie, right?
Yep. Without a doubt.
I remember watching it as a kid. I remember going, my parents used to take me to an auction barn pretty much every weekend. And I remember walking the auction barn and someone had a TV, like a little black and white TV playing, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon was playing on it. I couldn't hear it, but just watching it, I was mesmerized by by that creature. I still say one of the best monster costumes ever. One of the best examples of letting the audience in on something that the characters in the movie weren't in on, and it makes it even scarier, because that scene where she's swimming and her feet are in the water and the monster's hand is just going up, almost touching, absolutely terrifying when you're a child or a person in the 50s. But it's a great example of just being, the audience knows the creature's there and the hero doesn't, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
now, I was looking. Oh, go ahead.
No, I think it was my second horror movie. I love horror. It's the first horror movie I ever loved, for sure. Second horror movie I ever saw. First one being E.T. That movie's that the scariest movie ever made is E.T. But yeah, Creature from the Black Lagoon made like a massive impact on me. I was single digits when I saw it, and it was amazing. Like, just I remember with crayons on pieces of that lined paper that you could tear the dots off the sides of, just drawing pages and pages and pages of the creature and different spines on its back, and using the monster maker where you put the paper down and you do the little shading, doing that to find a Creature of the Black Lagoon. Man,
call it by its proper name, and I show some respect on that monster maker. It's the Mighty Man and Monster Maker.
My apologies. It was we got this from a flea market. It's in a church nursery. You sit there and be quiet, weird little monster kid, and stop telling us how much ET is going to get you. So that's all it was to me. I didn't even know it had a proper name.
When you come to visit, we're breaking mine out. We're going to make some monsters.
Hell yeah. That sounds like the best time in the world.
Well, it's interesting to me. Like, I didn't know this until I was looking up the drinks and stuff like that. The monster in The Creature from the Black Lagoon has a name. It's Gilman.
Yeah, Gilman.
Yeah.
I've never ever heard. No.
I don't know
and
that.
Just now, both of you guys love the film, and neither one of you call them by name, and so it's one of those things that just doesn't come up.
The creature. I didn't know he was called Gilman until the great '80s movie Monster Squad, which, as much as I still love the original design, that Monster Squad design is something special.
I think I reference these a lot, and I've been looking for them recently. I can't find them because I don't know exactly what they were called. Because again, single digit kid, there were these little, almost credit card sized books about monsters, and each one had, like the Longchain Wolfman was on the cover of one, Gilman was on the cover of one, the Mummy was on one of them, Dracula, and inside it was all like information about monsters, almost like your own little guide to monsters for kids. And that's where I learned his name was Gilman. They refer to him in there. And then they talked about like Kappa and other aquatic sea cryptids and creatures that would come and get you from lakes and beaches. But he was on the cover. He was all gnarly looking.
Well, I almost wonder if it's a placeholder too, because like with the Halloween movies, in the first one, Michael Myers was credited as the Shape.
Yeah.
And so if like Gilman was just like a production thing that they were using or whatever, because they weren't really sure what they were going to call him, because it kind of seems like that.
I don't know the lore that well to know. So
he was awesome until they took his gills in The Creature Walks Among Us, which was not the best of the Creature from the Black Lagoon movies.
Yeah, or those what's those movies where those two little kids got trapped on the beach and grew up and were all weird and very scantily clad in clothing? I rented that from like a Blockbuster.
That's your childhood. You just described it.
Yeah, man, there was no monster in it. I rented it thinking it was going to be amazing, and it was just this lady with long brown hair and this dude with like a Justin Timberlake.
That was Brooke Shields, and the movie was Blue Lagoon.
Yeah, no monsters in that. Total waste.
It changed your life. It changed your life in completely other ways.
Stuff I didn't even know about. It was horrifying.
I was going to say that set it up. That sounded like a setup for an adult movie. I'm just saying, like it really did.
Hey, all I know is I wasted my allowance because there wasn't a monster in that. It scared the hell out of me, but there were no monsters.
Nice, cool. So the first sea monster movie that I remember seeing was called it was called Frog Dreaming, but here in the United States, I guess they marketed it called The Quest. It's an Australian film. And there's this like old mining town, and there's a big body of water in it, and this sea monster rises up out of the body of water, and a kid gets trapped in this little like lake pond thing. And I tried to watch it again. It was surprisingly easy to find because I didn't even know the name of it. I hadn't seen it since I was like 6 years old. But I found it and I got it, and I started watching it with my kid, and the most of it holds up. You know, the special effects are kind of great for the 80s, and you know, the great reveal at the end and stuff like that. But I had to shut it off about 20 minutes in because it's a movie made in the 80s in Australia, and it uses a bunch of slurs for native Australians. And my kid turned and looked at me and he goes, what did they just say? And I was like, we can't do this, man. I'm sorry. So
yeah. I get that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if somebody were to remake The Quest Frog Dreaming, I would greatly appreciate that, because the setup and the monster and everything about it is great, except for how they talk about people of color in the film. So,
sure.
Yeah. Cool. Right on. So let's get
The Quest Frog Dreaming or The Quest
Frog
Dreaming?
It's called Frog Dreaming, but when they brought it to the United States, because Frog Dreaming is it's an Aboriginal term for like holy places in Australia. And since that doesn't really translate to American audiences, they renamed it The Quest to market it here.
I like the idea of Frog Dreaming. That sounds like a cool title for something.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah,
I'm writing that down. I'm using it. I claim it.
Cullen Bunn's next project. Nice, cool. So let's get started with one of our drinks. Who's going?
I have 3 drinks. How many do you have?
I have 2. Anton has 2. So since you have the most, why don't you go first, Cullen?
I made a super easy one, and I have not tried any of these drinks. I made them right before the recording. I came up with them today and made them right before the recording. This one's the easiest one, and it's really not that much of a mix. So this I'm calling the Sea Devil, and really it's just an old fashioned. But here's the twist: I used some Fireball in addition to bourbon to make it, and I used instead of your favorite kind of cherries, I used a Fireball soaked cherry.
Interesting.
Just to see, Sea Devils was the first name of a cocktail I came up this morning, and I didn't know what I was gonna do with it, so I decided to make an old fashioned with Fireball. So here we go. It's not bad. This is more of a winter drink. This is more of a winter drink.
Put some fire in your belly.
It is not a cool, refreshing summer drink. This is a drink for the middle of winter, and you're sitting around it's the fall and you're sitting around a fire. This is a great drink for that. It tastes like very strong Fireball. So there you go.
All right, fair.
the cinnamon stick gets in the way.
Yeah, speaking of Luxardo, I was at, I was shaved last time because I had to wear N95 to go cover Innings Festival. And my buddy came and met me, and we were at Rehab Burger in Scottsdale. And the guy was like, he was opening up Luxardo cherries, and my friend was like, what's with the cherries? What's with that big bottle and the weird top or whatever? And I was like, you've never had a Luxardo cherry? I'm like, oh my god, like you got to try a Luxardo cherry. He's like, nah, I hate cherries. I hate cherries. I'm like, no, dude, just try one. So they gave him a cherry. He loved it. So you got one more fan of your favorite $60 cherries in Mr. Ryan Dunbar.
They're not $60, and they are amazing. They're awesome cherries. So anyway, the Sea Devil is, if you're looking for a drink this fall, call this recording back up because it's a great drink for the fall. It's awesome.
Nice. Right on. Cool. Okay. So how about sea monster movies that are based on books that you loved the book, but the movie was absolute crap?
That sounds oddly specific. Like,
yeah, I don't know if I have one. What's yours? You obviously have one.
There's so many because I was sitting there trying to think of like sea monster movies, and there's so many that were disappointments because like Steve Alton did The Loch, and he did Meg, and he did all these great, and the adaptations are just terrible, but the books are fantastic. And I don't understand, like, I know that like they're different media, and trying to take a novel and make it into a television show or make it into a movie is a hard thing to do, but it's just so far removed from the source material that it's garbage.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. You're right. The Meg was a novel beforehand. I remember reading it and liking it, and I saw the movie, but I didn't even connect the dots that it was an adaptation when I was watching Meg the movie.
The Jason Statham movie with the giant shark was a book?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a good book. It's a really good book.
It's about a giant shark.
I mean, giant shark movie's fun.
Look,
the CGI in that film is so bad, though. You know what? If it wasn't for the giant CGI, I could almost swallow it. But
nice.
I get it. Shark swallows people. Which the problem with that is the terror of a shark is not that it can just swallow your boat whole. And also, we had the greatest giant shark movie of all time, and that was called Jaws, the first movie I ever saw in a theater.
I haven't heard of it.
You haven't heard of Jaws? No, it's great. You should check it out sometime.
Some little independent thing.
It was. And a shark bites you. That's what's scary about a shark, and its eyes, its doll's eyes.
It sounded like there was more to that story, so we're all like hanging with bated breath.
Oh, there's a whole thing about sharks, but I'm not going to try to remember the Indianapolis monologue from Jaws right now.
Yeah, but like shark movies, they go one of two ways for me, right? They're either like really fun, like Jaws is rad, I enjoy that movie, or they go like 47 meters down or something, where like you're supposed to believe that a shark is angry at a little swimmer lady and has like a grudge and is just going to hang out and wait for her so we can eat her because she's in a cage. Like, why is the shark mad? Why does the shark care? It just ate a whale. It can like bop off and be a shark and go anywhere it wants. Its limbic system isn't big enough for it to be pissed off at like this swimmer girl. So why? Like, I like when monsters are monsters, right? And their motivation is like, hey, I'm a monster and you happen to be in my space and I'm going to eat you.
Right. My mouth is open. I have big teeth and you fell in my mouth. Here we go.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's like the shark has an axe to grind with some like lady. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's where the
like Jaws: The Revenge.
Right. Hey, now, different.
No, Jaws: The Revenge is terrible.
Because that's where it goes through the glass, right? And all the glass.
No, that's Jaws 3, Jaws 3D. Jaws: The Revenge is where the shark is angry that they've killed all the other sharks and it's coming.
Wait, can we just agree that every 3D monster movie horror film that was made when 3D was like the big thing is just the most terrible entry in the franchise?
I don't know. I can't say that because going back to Creature from the Black Lagoon, I remember the fast fairs in my neighborhood gave out 3D glasses. You could go in and get a free pair of 3D glasses, 3D, and then you could watch the creature on television that night in 3D, and it was awesome.
But then when you had like Friday the 13th 3D, like, and they're doing the shot from the top of the stairs where the dude's juggling the balls coming up at you, it's like, dude, come on, you're just doing 3D tricks. That's not even part of the story. Like, what the hell?
Don't you tell me about 3D.
They just, I mean, it was just a bunch of celebrating the technology of 3D and using
Yeah.
Friday the 13th to sell it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's a Friday the 13th movie.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
if we're gonna talk sharks, though, Anton, I mean, what's your take on Deep Blue Sea?
Those are sharks that have been given human brains. They're like Frankenstein sharks,
Super,
right?
super smart
Super
sharks,
smart sharks. So like,
and they spend all day dreaming about the Deep Blue Sea.
and then they eat people because they're so
That's right.
smart.
It's right
and
there in the
small.
title.
Wasn't the vibe of that like we're gonna cure like Alzheimer's or something because we got shark blood?
Yeah,
Sharks don't get Alzheimer's, so
apparently do they? We don't know. Like, how do we know? You ever set a shark down? It might have some, we don't know what sharks go through. They could go through a lot. Ocean's unexplored. It's huge. Vast amounts of things. There could be an entire like convalescent home for sharks that have, health issues. We got to be sensitive to these sharks, man. What's up with these sharks? We just, Deep Blue Sea was a cool movie. I thought it was kind of nice. It's got like Thomas Jane, right?
Yeah, it's Thomas Jane, and it's an all right movie. I haven't seen it in 20 or more years, but I remember thinking it was pretty awesome.
It was one of those like TNT 2:00 in the morning movies. If it would come on, I would leave it on because I was up and I was like, "Hey, this is worth watching," and it's more amusing than like the Thigh Master infomercial for the 100th time.
it's better than watching Friends on repeat on Nick at Night.
Never seen an episode,
but not better than Blue Lagoon.
God, that movie's terrifying.
All right, my next cocktail. So obviously, sea monsters, whatever. The first place I go is Loch Ness and Nessie. When I went to Scotland about 9 years ago, one of the places we went was Urquhart Castle, and it was really cool to see the rolling waves out there. And if you catch the light just right, it really does look like there's a sea serpent like going across the loch, and you can see how these things can kind of develop into folklore and stuff like that. Or like, some dad just screwing with his kid, like, hey, look, you see the sea monster out there? See him going across? Because like I remember doing that with my kid when I was younger, or when he was younger. I guess I was younger too. But we would drive in California. We got a bunch of windmill farms, and he'd be like, "Dad, why are they all pointing the same way?" And I'm like, "Oh, they have to, because those fans are all blowing that direction to keep California attached to the United States." And I think he believed that till he's about 17, until he like started telling that story in like English class or something, and got shot down. So so I love Loch Ness. I love the legend of the Loch Ness monster. I love all the grainy, like cheesy photos and stuff like that. So I was looking for a cocktail that's based on the Loch Ness monster, and I found one by John Schmaling called Nessie's Kimono. And I thought it was cool because it's got Glendronach 12, which is a single malt scotch. It's got Otokoyama sake in it, and it's got jasmine liqueur, some lemon juice, and simple syrup. And I found this little, can you see it? Loch Ness Monster whiskey stone. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. So this whiskey stone is sold by Cocktail Critters, and it's a cool little thing. I don't like whiskey stones so much. I like my whiskey warm, but it's a very, very cool whiskey stone if you do whiskey stones. And I reached out to Cocktail Critters. They also make a bunch of little pins and things that have sea monsters and things on them. And I asked them, if we could do a collaborative discount code, and they gave us one. So if you use the code, all caps, no spaces, Grumpy Cullen at cocktailcritters.com.
Yeah.
That's the website. Yep, cocktailcritters.com, Grumpy Cullen. You'll get 15% off of your purchase there.
I'll take it. I am grumpy. I am grumpy all of a sudden.
Yeah, see? There you go. So here we go. This is Nessie's Kimono. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not a huge fan of wine, and sake definitely has that wine flavor to it, but it's got the scotch in there too, and I am a big fan of scotch. It's a little fruitier than what I usually go for, but it's kind of dry. It's almost like a sherry. So it's not something, we've said this before, it's not something I would send back, but I don't know if I would make this my regular drink at the bar.
What I'm really concerned about here is, am I to believe, from what you were saying earlier, that you do not believe in Nessie?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, Nessie, I'm sure that Nessie exists. I mean,
Thank you. I have I have so few things I can hold on to that I can believe in. And Nessie is one of those things that I still hold on to some form
You
of
know,
belief in.
speaking of Steve Alton, so we talked about Meg. There's a book that he wrote called The Loch, and it's one of the first Steve Alton books that I ever read. And it's so great because he's talking about what's the trench called? There's a giant deep trench in the middle of the ocean.
Marianas Trench.
Yes, he's talking about the Marianas Trench, and he's talking about and the thing is if you look at what ends up happening in the book, it's almost plausible. It's almost plausible. And so it's one of those things where it's like, well, you may not have thought that, there's this giant sea, this ancient dinosaur living in Loch Ness. But when you read the book and you start going through it, you go, oh, that actually kind of makes sense. So, I mean, it's possible.
As a kid, I lived near the Neuse River in North Carolina, and it also had a river monster that we affectionately called Nucy instead of Nessie. And I, for a long while, I believed in Nucy as well. I'm not sure. I still don't believe in Nucy.
Do you ever go down and see the Alti spot in Georgia?
Mm-mm.
So we were driving. My wife went to Full Sail in Florida. So we would drive from Virginia down to Florida and then back like every 2 weeks for a while until she decided she was just going to go full remote for school. But like one of Anton's favorite things in the world is any tourist like trap attraction that you could go to. If you tell me some goofy stuff is off route, whatever, I will want to go there and see it and take pictures and buy all the goofy stuff you can get with it. We stopped at this little spot that was in Georgia, and they have this giant replica. It's really well made too. It's like all sculpted and painted and everything. It's this giant replica of like a sea monster where it's got the front flippy fins and it's got like a serpentine body and a head and it wraps around. You can go take pictures with it. And they had this little old woman who looked like she was, held together with dust and paper clips. And I walked in there bigger than life. And this woman, you thought that I'd have given her 40 Christmases at once. She was just so excited to see somebody in this building. Apparently nobody had visited in like weeks. And as it dawned on her that I was as thrilled to be there as she was to see me, we had the best time. I left with bumper stickers and T-shirts and all sorts of goofy crap pictures. It was amazing. That's still one of my favorite memories, me and my wife early on that we went to. That place was super cool. If you get by it, it's in near the Altamame River in Georgia. It's right off the interstate, straight down. So you should stop if you're in the area. It's pretty rad.
Right on. Let's segue that into one of your cocktails there, Anton.
Oh yeah, mine are super duper simple. So this one is that's this one. This one is Blood Tide, and it is. I'm looking at my crib notes. It's Smirnoff berry lemon sour and some sparkling water over ice, and then it's garnished with 2 maraschino cherries because I'm out of Luxardo cherries. Or Luxardo cherries, and one of those little cool plastic saber swords, little cutlass swords. And then it was rimmed when it was in a glass with tahini and chamoy. So it has like that soury, kind of vibe bite. And then when you drink it, it's real good. And it goes down super smooth. I mean, it's, smeared off sour. So it's delicious. That's exactly what I expected it to taste like. It's wonderful, refreshing.
Nice.
I like that you said yours were simple and then you used the word tahini. Come on.
We have tahini and chamoy in the house like all the time. My wife loves it when she puts it on the corn.
I don't even know what it is.
I don't know what the hell it is either. It's just a funky tasting red gooey thing. And you get
what was the other thing you said? You said chamois?
Chamoy, yeah. So
that's what you clean your car with.
Yeah, it's a chamois. Yeah. That's chamois.
No, chamoy is the goo and tahini is the sprinkle. It's like it's a Mexican seasoning. She mixes it.
So, just for future reference, now I can't speak for Brendan, but I know myself. I would prefer you to refer to it as the goo and sprinkles. Don't refer to it by some fancy pants name. We ain't high and mighty up here. If you can talk about goo and sprinkles, I'm on. I get it. I get what you're talking about.
Delicious. Mexican goo and sprinkles. They use it on the elotes, the corn. It's wonderful. It's festive. It's fiesta in my mouth, dang it. And I've had a couple, so that's how we go.
Nice. Oh, our discount code is back up. That's for Cocktail Critters right there. Grumpy Cullen.
And may I comment? Not once has he been grumpy this episode. He seems to be in a delightful mood.
Well, he told us before we started that he's been day drinking, so maybe that's the key: is we get him a little drunk before we start, and then we get pleasant Cullen.
I came up with these drinks while I was day drinking. I went out and I sat at the bar and I did some work. And I looked at at their shelves and tried to pick things out that I could turn into some sort of sea themed drink based on the names I came up with. I'm always working.
Work. That's what we're calling this. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, you went and got all the stuff, and you've got the most drinks. Let's hear another one.
So this next one, I'm actually a little afraid of. I've got to be honest with you. I am nervous about trying it.
Does it have goo and sprinkles? Because I really need that.
Yeah, I guess some goo and sprinkles.
I'm not fancy enough for goo and sprinkles, but this one I call the Diver Down, which is my favorite title. And so when I came up with the title Diver Down, I was like, well, I need to do something that's layered or has something that you can see some depth to it. So this, and I'm looking at my notes. So this is the Diver Down, and I'm really surprised this far in, it's still maintained its layering, which is cool, instead of mixing weirdly. And so the blue on the bottom is just blue curacao and some lime juice and some almond liqueur and ginger syrup. The top is all rum.
Oh, jeez.
It's all Kraken rum. So and you do that over crushed ice. It smells like rum.
It's like four ounces of rum in there. You're gonna kill somebody.
Oh, whatever.
Tastes like rum.
No, I'm really surprised it doesn't. It you can really taste the sweetness coming. It's infused in there. It's really good. Yes, it's very heavy rum, but there's a lot of sweetness to it too.
That's awesome.
This is actually, I should have done green and called it the Gilman, or the never mind. I'll change the name of my next one. It's strong. This is a tough blue. This is a tough light blue drink, but it's delicious.
That was one of the things that I found too, is a lot of these sea monster recipes that people have online is just like pure alcohol. There was one that was like 24 ounces of alcohol and nothing else in it. And it's like, what? That doesn't even fit in a pint glass. So how many people are you making this for? And how, like, is that like for 100 shooters? It didn't make any sense.
If I were to put some allspice in this, it would really have a nice tiki drink flavor, I think, which is why I like what I like about it.
Allspice. Wait, allspice, that's the one that's like the pumpkin pie stuff, right?
I'm sure they use it in pumpkin pie, but a lot of tiki drinks have allspice in them. It's I don't think it has a pumpkin-y taste to it. It just has sort of it's a spice taste of some kind. But
I associate it with pumpkin pie, I think, because the bite at the end of the pumpkin pie, like the kick on there is allspice or nutmeg or something. I don't know. I don't make pumpkin pies.
I don't eat pumpkin pie, so
it's a sprinkle, man. You just don't have the goo in it. It's the sprinkle.
Yeah, it's got some goo and some sprinkles.
Everything's got to have goo and sprinkles from now on. That's your new calling card, Anton. All right, my next one is another real simple one. I was just thinking with the way that weather ties into a bunch of these stories, because the weather is kind of an indicator that something's about to go down. It gets dark and stormy, and then the wind kicks up, and you get these big waves, and then the monster stuff happens. So I took a dark and stormy, and I called it a donkagen, because we're renaming things sometimes. Sure. But not anymore. You can't see it now, but the photo, you can see it layers real nice when you put the rum on the top of a dark and stormy. Dark and stormy is 3 ounces ginger beer, 2 ounces dark rum, and a half ounce of lime juice. And you put the ginger beer and the lime juice in the bottom, and then you do the spoon and you layer the top with the dark rum. And it gives this really cool, like, layered look that looks like a storm brewing on the horizon or something like that. And I thought it was appropriate for the content. This one has mixed up now, so I'm not going to mess around with stirring it. But typically with a dark and stormy, that's the first thing you do is you grab the spoon or the straw and you stir it up. But dark and stormy, and that's just a great drink right there. Just rum and ginger beer. You can't really go wrong with.
Right.
So appreciate the kiss tumbler. Very nice.
I only have like those are the only the highball glasses that I have in the house, and they were for a white elephant gift exchange that never happened because of COVID. So they just got opened and used in my bar. So I've got the 4 members of Kiss, and I can't tell if it's original Peter Criss and Ace Frehley or not. But
every white elephant gift that we buy is something for the home bar, because like 95% of the time they end up not happening. So like my whiskey stones, some of my shakers, like some of our glasses, everything that's in the home bar all comes from just white elephant gifts I get to unwrap that I've purchased. So that's just how I go about those sorts.
You're the guy that buys the thing that you want, and then you know how it's wrapped, and so you're like, I'm a steal.
100%. At least I know I go home with something I want.
Nice.
Do you guys, speaking of Nessie, this isn't a Nessie story, but did you guys ever read the great Ray Bradbury story, The Foghorn?
Sounds familiar.
Maybe
it's an amazing story. You should definitely read it. If you're into comics and you don't want to read the short story, which you should, there is a comic adaptation of it, I think, in one of those Ray Bradbury, comic anthologies. But the story's awesome because it's, a lighthouse and it's got the foghorn, and it's called the sound of the horn calls up this sea monster, this dinosaur that thinks it's a mating call. So it's sort of this sad, lonely dinosaur coming up out of the depths because of this call of the foghorn. It was made
into a film too. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms was published in the Saturday Evening Post, and then while the film was being made, Bradbury changed the name to the Foghorn because the producers of the film were trying to capitalize on his popularity, so they wanted to get his name on there, and they changed the name of the film to more reflect his like dark and moody stuff that he did. The stuff that he did. Yeah.
I guess I didn't know. I have never realized The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms was an adaptation of that story. You learn something new every day.
Yeah, I learned that just now. There's this wonderful thing called the internet. So
never heard of it. Don't use it. Don't like it.
Nice. Cool. All right, Anton, what you got up next?
Again, super simple this week. So that's what I have been drinking on. This is the Crayon Creature. It is cranberry and vodka. It's delicious. It's right. No, it gets better.
I don't think anybody's put that combination together before ever.
Wow, good mixture. But it gets better because it's garnished. Again, super simple. My wife, she got this sourdough, candy dough, and she made this little kraken out of it and then wrapped it around 2 pineapple chunks on one of those little sabers, and it floated inside. It looked adorable. That is not in my blender bottle because these are easier for me to carry into my office. So in the pictures, you will see a delightful little confectionery design my wife has made. I want to drink this.
It's supposed to be terrifying, though, right? Because that little thing is adorable. Like, I want to make friends with it. I saw the pictures earlier.
It's kind of a cute little creature.
A little bright blue monster. He's super cute. My wife's a very talented woman.
Maybe that's how he lures you in. Is he's so adorable, you get real close and he eats your nose or something.
Well, that's how I do it, so it makes sense.
Yeah, there you go.
No,
we would be remiss in a episode where we're talking about sea creatures, though, for me not to bring up a movie that I think I've watched 100 times, and it's a newer movie. Have you seen that underwater movie with the lady from the vampire movie?
Oh my gosh, you love that underwater.
I love that underwater movie. That movie's phenomenal.
Is the title of it Underwater?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because the way you described it, have you seen the underwater movie with that lady in it? And I'm like, what underwater movie are we talking about? Because there's lots of movies that take place underwater with ladies. So
it's talking about Kristen
Stewart. Yeah. So, but it's called Underwater, and it's fantastic. It's like a pulp. It feels very pulpy to me. It's set in this underwater kind of complex, and the movie starts with just like a catastrophic disaster. That all of a sudden this thing start breaking, and pressure is changing, and bulkheads are crushing, and it's danger. And then the movie is just this group of characters who work in this underwater facility trying to navigate their way out of said underwater facility in these cool little like sort of underwater diving suits, and then monsters start getting interjected into injected into the story, and then some of the monsters get bigger, and the tension builds, and then the payoff is phenomenal, and the creature design is super super cool. Like I've watched this, I would watch this movie every other day. I bought it. I don't buy many movies when they come out, and like you can buy them off the Amazon. It started off the Amazon. It's on that internet thing we've been talking.
Well, and it's streaming on a service called MaxGo. I've never heard of MaxGo, but apparently, if you have MaxGo subscription, you can watch this film with your sub.
So good. Yeah,
it's a fun movie. What I like about it the most, besides Kristen Stewart, who I really, this is without irony, and I've had these conversations. I think she's one of the coolest people around. I mean, she's super cool. But what's interesting about the movie, it wastes no time. Mm-hmm. I mean, Anton say, they're in an underwater facility, and then some terrible stuff happens. That's about him uttering that sentence is about as long as it takes for that movie to kickstart, because it literally is. She's getting into an underwater suit for some reason, and then stuff starts breaking. It's just water spraying in. It's an interesting movie in the way it does it. It reminds me of Deep Star 6, and what was the other? There was a movie that came out at the same time as Deep Star 6.
Leviathan?
Yeah, it might have been Leviathan. Maybe that's it. Yeah, Leviathan. They came out around the same time. It's kind of got that vibe. I mean, more Leviathan than Deep Star 6. Deep Star 6 is the one with Treat Williams, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and it's a little more fun and humorous.
It's like Evil Abyss. Like yeah. I watched Abyss a lot as a kid, and that was a lot of fun. It was better than that other horrific movie where the poop monster comes down in the spaceship and tries to touch children with chocolate. But
wait, hold up. What film is that?
The small weird one with the extending neck and the glowing finger.
He's talking about E.T., which terrifies him. So I vote that the next episode is on aliens, and we talk only about E.T.
I think the next episode needs to be aliens.
Yeah, as long as we can talk about xenomorphs, I think we'll be good to go.
But yeah,
nice, very nice. No, underwater is cool. Like in all seriousness, one of the things I love about it, Colin's saying it, the pacing, right? I think too often, and especially in aquatic films, it's supposed to be that build, and horror really leans into the build, where it's like a slow burn and the tension gets there. This is able to accomplish the fear of the unknown and really pull you in without just because it starts from like break. Like you get maybe a minute and a half, and then everything goes to heck, and it's like a cannonball run of fear. And you get to feel that, and I think they do a really good job of conveying it. I can't recommend it higher if you haven't seen it. Like, you should give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. I bothered Cullen about it for like months. I would text him, be like, "Dude, you gotta watch this movie." He's like, "I've seen it, man. You've seen it." I was like, "Well, you gotta watch it again. It's awesome."
He's like, "We saw it together. Shut up."
I gotta write this down too, because I've never considered underwater the way you just described it. But a cannonball run of fear sounds like one of my next projects, because that sounds amazing, and it sounds like it's right up my alley. So I got to write down.
One of the things that I've said loads of times when I'm doing when I'm reviewing horror comics that take place underwater is like space and water for me are just like the most terrifying things, because the environment alone can kill you. The pressure, if you have a crack in your helmet, can kill you. It's dark. You can't see anything. Monsters come out of nowhere, and there are real monsters that are in the depths that we know about. And then it's like, so many things are discovered every year, whatever. You don't know really what's in the ocean, because there's so much stuff. There's so much space that has never been explored. You're completely dependent on your equipment. If your equipment fails, you're dead. If your support team fails, you're dead. If you fail, you're dead. And it's the simplest thing of like getting poked by a sharp rock and compromising your suit, you're dead. That stuff, like getting sucked through a pinhole in space into the vacuum of space kind of stuff is terrifying to me. And underwater is very much that same vibe for me. It's just dark and scary and dangerous.
Yeah, the ocean water in general, I've always been fascinated by it. My dad used to take us fishing off Harker's Island on the Outer Banks all the time. And we could do countless episodes of stories that of sharks and stingrays and jellyfish and Portuguese man o' war. I mean, all these things that I remember from being a kid. We could do hours of those, just me talking about that. But I will say this, when you talk about things you don't know that are in the ocean. I remember one of those times my mom hooked something. So we're all fishing, and my mom hooked something. And my dad had a fairly good-sized boat. And we're out. I mean, we weren't far out, but we were pretty far out. And whatever she hooked turned the boat around and started dragging the boat along. And we still to this, and finally my dad cut the line, and we still have no idea what it was she hooked. Now, sure, could it have been she hooked some piece of debris at the bottom or something, and we were drifting and it wasn't moving, but we were, and it felt like we were being pulled? Could it have been a sea turtle? Absolutely. It could have been anything. But I just remember that moment being this. That was the thing. It could have been anything that she hooked, because I'll never forget the boat just turned. It was not a slow turn. It was a shunk, and it just started dragging us along, is what it seemed like, until my dad cut the line. I still wonder.
Well, you see some of the video of like sturgeons surfacing or getting caught and getting pulled up and stuff like that, and those are absolute real sea monsters that could do something like that. They could turn around a boat and pull it, and because the thing weighs 2,000 pounds.
Right. So I still don't know what that was, but I remember it scaring me.
It was Gilman.
I don't scare easy.
It's Gilman. He wanted to bite.
Maybe.
All right. So, Cullen, you still have a drink.
I do. So this one I call the Blue Lagoon. Just kidding. This one I've called the Grace Under Pressure, which I named it after a Call of Cthulhu adventure published by Pagan Publishing back in the 90s that I ran. It's an underwater submarine scenario that I remember we just had such a great time playing. Because we lit my entire apartment in glow sticks, and I let people communicate only through like walkie-talkies through other rooms, so that it was weird when things were happening. Anyway, Grace Under Pressure. It was a very cool adventure, and I was talking to my buddy. Shout out to Timmy Flip Flops today, and I said I have to make some ocean themed drinks, and he said, well, you need to do something with raspberry vodka, blue raspberry vodka. So I got some. Right, yeah. I got some, and I was like, well, it's not blue enough. So this has blue raspberry vodka, a little bit of blue curacao, some tropical liqueur, which I don't know what's in it. It's called tropical liqueur, some tonic water, and then I have some strawberries and a real lime wedge, not a dehydrated lime wedge, a lime wedge in it. And there it is, the Grace Under Pressure. We'll see what I think. Now, this is your drink of the summer. It's delightful.
You sound like Anton now.
It sat here for a little while, and the ice melted a little bit, so it took me a second to get to the actual drink instead of the water. But super clean, but it's actually pretty strong too. That's a really good drink.
Nice. That looks like something that comes in a giant bowl with 16 straws at like a tiki bar.
Yeah, I think if I put like some dry ice in it, maybe like at the bottom before I pour the drink in, that might have given it a real cool effect that sitting here wouldn't have worked. But
or if you like drizzled something like sinister on top, like some red something that was like seeping into it, so it like looks all tropical, and then there's like this ominous part to it.
Yeah, cool. Some grenadine perhaps, or some goo and sprinkles.
Goo and sprinkles,
yeah.
We went to that one place where we got the big tiki bowl drinks, and they had the shark with the goo in it that made the top of it all red. That was delicious. That was a good day.
So they took like a rubber bath shark and filled it up with like grenadine.
Yeah, that's 100% what they did. I have the bath shark somewhere.
Like the shark was puking up blood and guts into you. That's awesome.
Anton is talking about Joe's Crab Shack.
I don't know where we were. I had so much to drink at that point.
He's talking about Joe's Crab Shack. The drink is called the Shark Bite. And yes, when they serve it, they have to yell out, everyone, look out, it's a shark attack. And they pour the grenadine into the blue drink and it's, oozes down.
It was delightful.
Delightful, yes.
I like all drinks where you have to pour something dramatically into it.
Well, you like drinks that are on fire and stuff like that make it look like you're
on
so
fire.
Everybody in the bar is looking at you.
Pop rocks, whatever you want to pour into it. That's what I like.
Free, that's also a real good one. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, we're giving the 5-minute warning here from our producer in chief.
You know what I want to say to that producer in chief? Warnings every time. Eric, we're going to box one day, sir, over these 5-minute warnings.
Real quick, you brought up Lovecraft. I think my favorite underwater story is a Lovecraft story, though. It's the Temple, the one where the U-boat crashes and the guy's inside and everybody else in the crew is dead, and he keeps going out in his little scuba suit and sees far off the underwater temple that has lights in it.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Life support starts to die, and he gets like glimpses of maybe living entities out at the bottom of the ocean in this you don't know if they're ghosts or like something else in this underwater city. So he finally just like leaves after recording all of his information, and that's all. That's a cool one. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
He leaves before he finds out the truth. It's like he got the 5-minute warning on life. Thanks. Thanks, Eric.
Nice. All right. So this has been Comics and Cocktails. Oh no, what is it now? It's Happy Hour, Comics and Cocktails, Grumpy Kella, number 6. What did we call it? Oh, Aquatic Cryptids and Sea Monsters. Next time, we got to do aliens then, I guess.
It's aliens next time.
There's whole stories that I'm unaware of that need to come out.
Every drink is going to be the ET. I'm going to make the ET, the phone home. Every drink I make is going to be ET themed.
Nice. Fair enough.
I might
I'm
dress
Brendan
up
Allen.
as ET. And I'm Cullen Bunn.
And there's Anton Crowbar. All right, cool. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys.
Come on,